Hey, now here we are. Let's bring up our guest. Who do we got in the house here? Who do we got in the house? We've got the lovely Christy, Renee. We've got Swordsman 007, Diana, Sandra. Man, we got a full house. It is good to see all of y'all again. Why don't you guys give me a 5x5? Can everybody hear me out there? You guys hear me over here in the everybody loud and clear? Perfect. Perfect. Oh, man. Another Monday, y'all. Mountain Readiness Monday, where we discuss homesteading, survival, and preparedness. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. I've got my guest down below. You know him. This guy needs no introduction. The man, the myth, the legend, the infamous, not the famous, but the infamous Sue Rod LaRue, 25 plus years, special operations. He's done it, seen it. He made the t-shirt. This guy's done it all. And off next to me, of course, our good friend from TroysGate, Mr. Randy Martin. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing good.
Good. Good, good. So I guess before we jump into this, you know, we have been seeing, and I called it here the other day, these random acts of violence we see popping up all over the place. In fact, I did not realize it, but Charlotte has not had one incident here lately that's been kind of shoveled around. We had the girl on the bus, but we also had, there was a couple other occurrences where people have been attacked for no reason but the apparent. We need not to discuss that right now, but you know, we keep seeing these acts, and of course the Charlie Kirk thing, that's a whole nother world. But it's all the same. It's a direct attack. It's a direct attack on us, we the people, nonstop, by, I can't say it any other way, by terrorists, because that's what these people are. They're terrorists. They're trying to strike fear into the hearts of American citizens, and we got to do something about it. But we also need to do something about our state of mind. Unfortunately, we prepare ourselves with how much food we have on the shelves and out on the range with the pew-pews, and all this stuff is great. But how do we train that thing from the brain, the shoulders up, that brain, that melon, for deadly encounters, for lack of a better term? Because, you know, how do you train that without a deadly encounter? And that is where you come in. Well, you come in. There we go. It's always backwards. It's like Siskel and Ebert. But Randy, tell everybody about yourself a little bit. Most everybody knows who you are. As Christy Renee said, Randy Martin, diabolical genius is what Randy is.
Randy Martin is a professional hillbilly.
You know, yeah, give everybody the little bit of the backstory here of where you came from, what you've done, and then we can get into, you know, what you're doing to help people prepare themselves for these worst case scenarios.
So just give you a brief of my background. I got into law enforcement in 1977. After I went through rookie school, I got out and was assigned to the drug task force. And then I was involved in a deadly encounter within 2 weeks of my assignment. And that kind of put me on the path of learning, or, you know, it was bad, but it was fascinating. You know, I remember pointing the gun. I remember pulling the trigger. I remember the things that followed. So my logical brain was working okay. Again, I took that visual imprint, so like we've talked about when we take human life. And then later on, I was involved with dealing with the guy with a shotgun. I'm fighting with him with a shotgun. The shotgun went off. And then I have no remembrance of what I did to the guy. And that was like, how could that even happen? So again, that put me on the path of looking at human behavior and deadly conflict. And holy smoke, we have discovered so much, and we haven't really shared it with a lot of people. But after this with Charlie Kirk, I think I'm going to kind of dig into this a little bit. And I listened to the funeral yesterday, or the celebration of his life yesterday. and his wife, and I am pissed off. I just tell you, it just like he was such a good guy. All he had was conversation with people, and then he made somebody mad, and they took him out. So I made my decision then. I am going to open the door to this knowledge that we have. We are working on a book that we'll have printed out probably next year sometime that go into some pretty deep stuff. And Sue LaRue and I have had a lot of conversations about this, the effects on the human, and how do we get prepared for what's coming. And that's what we have to take a stand. If you look at the Christians back when the Jews were marching into Israel and you had the Knights Templars who protected them, they believed in God and they believed in not being violent, but there's a time where you have to be violent or you die. It's that simple. So tonight I've got a few slides. We'll talk about the brain and the process, and we'll talk about the different emotions, and we'll talk a little bit about what the media is doing and how it is making people angry and is triggering certain parts of this brain for them to go on the mission to do what they're going to do, and that's kill us. The people who, from our side, we think we're normal. From their side, they think we're not normal. So again, just some of the things I wanted to talk to you about. That's why I called.
Yeah.
Let me add on to that a little bit, Randy. I like you. I watched. I was pretty upset because I couldn't watch most of it yesterday because, of course, my internet was down and my television was down. But after mowing my lawn, I did get to watch the last 2 or 3 speeches of the Charlie Kirk Memorial. I watched a bereaving widow, a heartbroken widow, forgive the shooter. Right? That blew my mind. That blew my mind. She's a better person than I am. I could have never forgive somebody for that. But she did say, and she pointed out that look at what has happened since my husband's murder. Right? There was no violence, there was no rioting, right, and there was no mass demonstrations. Right? Now, I think the other side takes that as weakness, right? I agree. There should be no violence, and there should be no rioting, but be careful. Just a warning to the other side: be careful, because most of us, and this is what Mountain Readiness is all about. Most of us are prepared to take that step if we have to. If we have to, we are trained to do this, and that's what TroysGate really does. It takes you into reality of what it's like to be in that moment when you have to decide fight or flight, right? And the whole TroysGate, the pre-training with TroysGate, and some of the stuff that I'm sure Randy's going to get into of how we can decompress after an actual shooting and things too. And that's what's amazing. And that's what I've been following TroysGate for the last 12 years. Initially, I didn't think it had anything to do with PTSD. It has everything to do with PTSD and helping people remember. Because when you get into those life and death situations, and Randy's going to explain it, but your brain automatically shuts down. You don't remember half of it. You really don't. But I think with what happened with Charlie Kirk and what everybody saw, as a spectator, you're going to remember more than the actual shooter. I guarantee you that shooter that took that shot doesn't remember half of what he did. He just got up and ran. But for snipers, it's a little bit different. You're magnified. You can see the sweat coming off of your victim or the person you're going to shoot. And snipers do remember a lot more. But when you get in these violent confrontation, your brain takes over. And I'll let Randy get into that.
Well, let me jump in real.
Go ahead.
I want to add to that as well, Randy. And so, you talked about the children of Israel going into Canaan land. And, people talk about Old Testament versus New Testament. The Old Testament done away with, the New Testament with Christ. And I'll drop this just for food for thought. Number one, God demanded the children of Israel to go into Canaan land and to kill every man, woman, and child, and take not the spoils thereof. I mean, that was brutal. Not to mention that when, after the fact, one of the Israelites had come back to the camp and had brought idols and gold from Canaan, and that's where they brought him out. But what I want to get to here is that 10 Commandment wise, it says, thou shalt not kill. Well, people forget that the Bible, we need to translate back to Hebrew, Greek, and Chaldean. And kill is not kill, it is murder. There is a huge difference between killing and murdering. And that's what people lose here, is they think that, oh, well, thou shalt not kill. No, thou shalt not murder. And God himself commanded the killing of many people. Now we jump forward to the New Testament. In the New Testament, Christ talks about sell your cloak and buy a sword. These statements, there is no differentiating between God the Father and Christ the Son. There cannot be a conflict of interest between God the Father and Christ the Son, or it doesn't work. That means that there is imperfection there in the word. All right. If we have the Father saying one thing and Christ saying the other, it doesn't work. So they are one and the same in how they think. So people, that's what I want you to think about here before we jump into this with Randy, is murder and killing. Those are two different things, and we need to know the difference. You have every single right, in my opinion, and biblically, in my opinion, to defend yourself and your family. Husbands and fathers, you are the covering of your family. And then I'll turn it over to Randy.
Hey, Sue, I think you need to follow up with, after they did killing of the men, women, and children, what did they do before they went back to camp?
That's right. A lot of people said they were lost, or they wandered for 40 years. They didn't wander for 40 years. What they did was they created a generation of warriors, right? Remember, they went from slaves and tradesmen to wandering in the desert, and that next generation trained as warriors. And when they went out, there was a certain tribe, and I'll get the name wrong, but they had to wipe, T's correct. They had to wipe out every man, woman, and child, even their animals, their flocks.
Yes.
Of sheep and everything were supposed to be killed. They tried to come back into the main group of Israelites, and Moses sent them back out and said, no, you cannot re-enter for an entire week. They had to clean themselves and everything else. They had to basically decompress so they could deal with the horrific thing that they had to do. And don't get me wrong, whether you're defending yourself or you're in a combat situation, killing does affect your psyche. It affects your mood. It affects everything about you, right? And decompression is a huge part of it. And that's something that TroysGate is really getting into, is like, okay, how can we help these guys that had to be in those situations, whether they're law enforcement or whether they're military or even civilians that have to defend themselves. They can come to TroysGate, and I like to call it ripping off the scab. Before you can deal with PTSD, and anybody can get PTSD, anybody, right? But if you can go in there and recreate, and through what Randy does, if we can recreate through role players and everything, something similar, or even as close to we can as recreate the situation that person went through, they have to rip off the scab to realize what the emotions are. Because like I said before, is when you're in that situation, your brain shuts down. You only remember about 20% of the whole situation. And when you rip off that scab, now you can deal with the 100% or the 80%, and you can start dealing with those emotions one at a time. So I don't want to steal too much of Randy's thunder.
No, you're good.
Oh, that's great. And I believe it was the Hittites? I believe it was the Hittites.
I think so.
That they went into Canaan land after. And I did not Google that. But go ahead, Randy, get into, because I have been to TroysGate now over a dozen times, and I've had withdrawals. I've missed Zach, especially after seeing these videos that we'll be showing tonight. And I was like, man, sure do miss Zach in more ways than one. So, But I can say my first experience with TroysGate was the equivalent of watching the teacher on Charlie Brown. I mean, I walked in and everything I heard was wah, 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 wah. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't hear anything. All I knew was there was Zach in front of me screaming and yelling, had no idea what he was saying, and a bunch of gunfire. And I thought it was only a couple rounds, but it ended up dumping an entire mag. So there you have it. Take it away. Take it away, Randy.
All right. Have Russ just bring up the power slide. All right, hit the next slide for me. Okay, now just getting into the program. Again, I grew up in a Christian church. My daddy was a preacher. So every Saturday night, Sunday, Wednesday night, on vacation, I was always in church. So after a while, you get tired of preaching. And so I'd open up the Bible and I'd read the Bible from front to back to front, everywhere. And there was this one verse that always stuck with me. And as I was when I got into law enforcement and I was involved in that shooting, and I started learning, become a master instructor in about everything within law enforcement, I didn't understand why I was so fascinated with it. I didn't understand why I wanted to do it. And I always thought maybe I'm doing it to protect the Christians. Maybe one day the day will come where I'm going to have to share my knowledge with these other people to let them learn about it so they can survive some stuff. So this has been in my brain for like my whole life, maybe for 50 years or more. So to everything, there is a season. Go to the next slide. And that's the time to live. And I do have a law enforcement officer up here with his family where he's happy. He's got a job to pay his bills. He likes doing what he does. And then the next one that we don't want to hear about is the next slide. And that's the time to die. So our goal at TroysGate is to keep the policeman out of that box, to keep the warfighter out of the box, and to keep you out of that box. So we have a mission and a goal for everyone, whoever comes up. Next slide. And there is a time to kill. Don't know when that time may come. Don't know when you're going to have to deal with it. Pray you never have to. But after you do the kill, go to the next slide. There's a time to heal. Now, a lot of people, Sue knows the people in that community, suicides are rampant. I mean, it's awful. There's more officers killed in the line of duty from suicide than actual killed in the line of duty. Warfighters around 21 to 23 a day that's taken their life. So hopefully we have something that can help prevent that if they have to, in fact, take human life. Go to the next slide. So tonight, and I wanted to get into this pretty good about that muscle, and Bob came up and he's talking about the mind being the strong muscle, and I thought, man, he's right. So I come up with this slide, Bob, I think based off our conversation a couple of years ago, and we want to train it well. So hit the next slide. So again, neutralize the threat. We try to be politically correct, dispatch the enemy, but actually, next slide. It is about the time to kill. Somebody's breaking in on us. They're trying to kill us and our family. They're trying to jack our car, kidnap us, or they're trying to rob us and they're using a gun. That time to kill may actually happen to you. Go to the next slide. So tonight, hey, I'm just a country boy. I've done research on this for the last 12 years. I worked with a lot of scientists, a lot of psychologists about understanding that human behavior in deadly conflict. And there's two things at the bottom of the screen. One of them, and you can look it up, is called the amygdala hijack. A lot of stuff is known about that amygdala hijack now, but we don't really hear much about it in the warfighter or the law enforcement world. And then doing the studies that we do, we come across something we call the TroysGate syndrome. The TroysGate syndrome is the killing brain becoming activated. When the killing brain becomes activated, you can't turn it off. You can't stop it. And that's what man, that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that it's like a broomstage field, and we got all these tensions built up, and we look at the Bible and we look at love, and we have a problem with that. I can love somebody, and then they cut my head off. So that love that I have for that person didn't keep me alive. So again, as we get into the psychology of this, hopefully it'll help you with a little more understanding. Go to the next slide. This is fascinating, folks. I mean, this right here, that human brain, when it comes to conflict, it fascinates me. Go to the next slide. All right, so let's look at the brain. You have the logical brain, which that boy that killed Charlie was thinking through what he was going to do. So he climbed a building. He had it planned out. He took the shot. He didn't have it so well planned on how to get rid of the gun and all that. But that hatred that he had, that thought, put the thought in his head that if I take him out, then it'll end. And he created a firestorm that he don't know what he has started. So the logical brain is when we're clearly thinking through things. All right, go to the next slide. Then we get into the survival brain. Now that survival brain, if someone is trying to attack us, and like you ever been, something happened and then you couldn't remember to call the phone number to call somebody, or you're driving, something happens, then you start losing control, and then you can't really remember how to do stuff. So that's part of the amygdala hijack. Now training, when you go to the range and you're shooting targets, turning targets, all this stuff, you learn how to load your gun, learn how to point, learn how to shoot. So that training will help us do things when we get afraid, to where our logical brain don't remember how, but our survival brain does, if that makes sense. Click to the next one. This part of the brain, my friends, you can't train. The only way for the brain to understand this is to be activated. It only learns when it's activated. So if it's activated on and off several times, it will learn how to turn off during daily force or daily encounters. If it's never been triggered and it triggers, all the training is accumulative. And a training makes the trigger get cocked. And all it's waiting is for a behavior to begin to decock. And when it decocks, it triggers the killing brain. That's why policemen shoot people in the back. It's not because they're shooting because they're black or Hispanic or whatever they say it's about. That person activated the killing brain in that officer, and he couldn't help shooting on the back. There was no intention for him to do that. All right, click. And that human, this is what we're going to get into, is that human animal brain. All right, click. All right, so we have something that's got the old little parts of the brain here, but there's something at the bottom of there called the medulla oblongata. So if you would, Russ, play the video about the medulla.
Now, last week, we talked about the physiology of the animal brain as it pertains to aggression. Now, is there anyone here that can tell me why most alligators are abnormally aggressive?
I know the answer to this question. Raise your hand.
Anybody? Anyone? Yes or you, sir?
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Your mama said alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. Wow. Anybody else? Yes or you, sir?
Alligators are aggressive because of an enlarged medulla oblongata. It's the sector of the brain which controls aggressive behavior.
That is correct. The medulla oblongata.
But Mama said...
The medulla oblongata is where anger, jealousy, and aggression come from. Now, is there anybody here can tell me where happiness comes from?
No.
Anyone?
Oh.
All right. Let's hear what Mama has to say on the subject.
Mama say that happiness is from magic rays of sunshine that come down when you're feeling blue.
Well, folks, Mama's wrong again.
No, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong. Mama's right.
Mama's right. Mama's right. Something wrong with his medulla oblongata.
And there
So,
you have it.
you know, when I first heard about this stuff, man, I didn't even know what they were even talking about. So that logical brain, and then when it starts shutting down, it goes to the logical brain, and then we go into the lizard brain. And when it goes there, folks, there is no control, none whatsoever. So click the next slide for me. Russ? No, the next. No, not. All right. So what activates it? What activates this behavior? Click again. And let's talk about the brain's alarm system. Click again. All right. Let's look at these amygdalas. The amygdala is like an almond inside your little skull up here. It's, you know, when I first got into this, I couldn't understand why these people are doing this crazy stuff. So that those amygdalas, they learn stuff. They learn hate. They learn fear. They learn jealousy based on the content that we put into those amygdalas. And then those amygdalas are a warning system. So like when you're young, your mom tells you to stay away from a rattlesnake because if it bites you, you're going to die. So as you grow up, see rattlesnakes, and then you're looking for them. When you walk in the woods, you step on a stick, you start jumping around because you think you stepped on a snake. Well, that was a learned fear, like spiders and all the stuff that we learned. So those amygdalas, the amygdala, they're responsible for triggering the humans to become violent in real or perceived dangerous situations. All right, click. So let's look at these emotions here. And there's one emotion that's not on here. The one emotion that's not on here that doesn't trigger it is love. So yesterday she forgave the shooter, and she loved, and everybody, we talk about love. We don't want to riot. We don't want to burn things down. Well, love doesn't cause any of the problems. Fear of something happening. Anger, I am angry at you based off the information that's fed to me that would make me want to hate you. So love and the hate are so far apart, but yet they're close together. Aggression. Now, once these things trigger, you will become very aggressive. Now, aggressive behavior can trigger that. So I'm working the case. I'm probably better not talk about on this podcast, but they would, if somebody's coming after me and I'm an officer and you're aggressive and my brain perceives that you're trying to hurt me, I may pull out my gun and shoot you dead, and you not have nothing in your hands. Just that aggression toward me activated those amygdalas to respond. Hate, I'm telling you, this hate, and this is what concerns me about all this stuff, because on the media, you know, you got all these different channels that preach hate, and they're telling everybody that, you know, you got to take a stand. It's okay to burn cities down. It's okay to beat people up. Take a stand. Do what you have to do. Well, they're creating the hate. The whole of the television stations are creating the hate, most of them. So again, once that hate makes these amygdalas sensitive, and it's like, so if me and Sue and Bob were all together and we all have this hatred toward a certain individual or a certain kind of humans, and one of us trigger, then we all trigger. So the media, they know what they're doing. That's what pisses me off about this. They know that they're going to get certain populace of the US of A, and they're going to get that hate stirred up in them. And once it goes to pop, it will pop across the country. And then us, the people who live normal and try to love everybody else, we will become nothing more than casualties. And they know what they're doing. That's why I decided I'm going to go online and I'm going to talk about this stuff, and we're going to try to figure this stuff out together. Jealousy, another one. I mean, damn, I've been jealous before, and it's not good. That's not a good thing. You can kill people over that stuff. Rage, and again, the TV is trying to get this hate stuff going to create the rage. If they create the rage that they want, then the U.S. starts crumbling, and then the government will try the best to take control. And then I'm telling you, it gets really bad. So how do we fix it? And I don't think we can fix it. I think what we need to do for us that are Christians, normal living, want to work hard, want to pay our taxes, want to have a house, a car, we had better get ready for what's coming. It is coming, my friend, and we can't stop it. So I live on a hill, on the side of a mountain. You've been up there, Bob, you know. So I do things to try to keep myself and my family safe. I pray it never happens. I hope it never happens. Love has a magic of doing certain things. It really does. And if love will work, I would love to love this hate right out. But that love, all the love that we brought together and all the love we've had across the USA did not keep Charlie Kirk from getting murdered. Didn't stop it. Didn't slow it down at all. They are thinking about this stuff. And believe me, all you have to do is come across that right person that has the right amount of hate and the right amount of rage, and you become nothing more than a casualty. If that makes sense. I'm not ramping. I'm upset. I'm pissed off because this stuff has happened. And I've always stood by and not really said nothing about it until today. Last night when I heard that, I thought today I'm going to open this thing up and we're going to start getting ready for it and hope it never comes. All right, go to the next slide. So again, that fight or flight activation when it happens. So when the amygdala, and I'm going to show you a video, perceives a threat, they trigger that fight or flight response, releasing the hormones like adrenaline and cortisol that prepare the body for action. So there's a lot of stuff. If somebody's breaking in on you and this adrenaline dump occurs and this amygdala hijack occurs, it may activate the killing brain, or it may activate where you just crawl up in a little ball and you curl and you can't do anything at all. So it's the spectrum is pretty expanded on this. All right, click the next one. All right, so again, when this occurs, it bypasses the rational thought. The logical brain no longer is working. Click again. So, and I look at this. And Subaru knows very well what I'm talking about. You do too, Bob. The tactical training, we go to tactical training. We learn how to get through the fatal funnels. We know how to get into the room. We know how to clear the room. We do all this stuff. And then all of a sudden something happens and all those skills that we've had vanish. And then we become animal-like. I mean, I'm fighting the guy with a shotgun. I got the gun on my side and I should have pulled it out and shot him in the mouth. And I couldn't remember to get my gun. So I tried to beat him to death with my fist. And I was like the master instructor of all this stuff. And yet all that stuff didn't help me when it actually come down to me living and dying. So a lot of stuff again to talk about. Click again. All right, now, Sue, and this is what we're talking about. Once that occurs, once that amygdala hijack occurs, it becomes that thinking brain becomes temporarily paralyzed, and that leads to a drop of IQ, impaired decision making, and the memory. The memory of that is like that decision making is not there. That's why when I put people in some of these shootings, we're asking these questions, they can't remember because the amygdala hijack occurred and it doesn't store the memory. It will take pictures of stuff that we can pull back from memory, but it impairs all that decision making. Click. All right, so that's, again, I come from the police world. Subaru comes from the military world, so we have our own little thinking. So on this, just laying this out, that when an officer perceives a threat, the amygdala, without us consciously thinking about it, it will evaluate the threat, and it's faster than conscious thought can intervene. So if it sees a gun on its own, if it sees that threat, it will start responding without me logically thinking about it. Man, and I've dealt with this before. If the threat's being dangerous, the body's flooded with hormones and adrenaline, and then that's when a lot of stuff happens. With the psychological changes happen, the shaking hands, the racing heart, the tunnel vision. Most officers draw their firearms instinctively before considering other options, and that leads to tragic errors when the threat is misperceived. misperceived or overestimated. So let's show this video of an officer involved in a threat, and then the amygdala hijack occurs. All right, let's roll the video.
We're adults. Hey, let me see your hand.
So again, it's not something that she intentionally did. The brain, when it sees the danger, we are trained to point a gun and pull a trigger. So the brain knows that it's in a life and death situation. You will actually start squeezing the trigger as soon as you touch the gun. And I see this over and over and over again. I thought, what is going on here? That's why the amygdala hijack has occurred. All right, click. So again, those post-traumatic experiences. So like I go to a wreck, somebody's head's cut off, or I open the window and you got little babies that's been killed in the wreck, or I go to a house and the daddy's killed his little kid, killed his wife, and then I go to a homicide, I go to armed robbery, somebody's killed. Holy crap, this stuff becomes accumulative up here. And then the more you see this stuff, the more you realize how valuable life really is. And when you understand that, it becomes easy for the amygdala hijack occur based on the information that is taken in while actually being on duty. Like with Sue. Sue was around the combat zone. So again, any weird sounds or any actions that he may feel threatened, then he may take them out, even though he shouldn't in some cases. All right, click.
Let me jump in there real quick.
Yes.
That doesn't have to be just visual too. Randy and I discovered this too. I was involved in the recovery of a couple of helicopters got shot down in Iraq years ago, right? For 2 decades, I could not stand next to a barbecue or a grill while somebody's doing hamburgers or steaks or whatever, because of the smell of burning flesh or burning meat, right? So it's not just visual. It could be smell. Somebody could hear something, or there could be a combination thereof, or just a taste in somebody's mouth will set them off from something they've seen before. I'm sorry, I just wanted to throw that in.
Oh, that's perfect, Sue, because smells, sounds, visuals. I know the one person that pulled the gun out. They were thinking about getting her in trouble, so they sent me the god of firearms training. I mean, this guy, I think everybody worships him. He's like the tactical guy, Superman. So he come up. We know what we're doing. So we run him through it, and he comes out, and he's shaking, he can't speak. And then we take him to the vehicle stage. Well, when he goes to the vehicle stage, we have an ambush. We have a guy outside of his car, we have an ambush. So the guy pops up, shoots him with a shotgun. The guy comes out, and he's crying. I look at him, I say, man, you okay? And I said, that's okay, because I said, there's a lot of tears shed up here because we bring back a lot of stuff. And he said, well, he's retired now, but he's the god of guns. And he said, well, 38 years ago, or how many years ago it was, 3 months into his tour of duty, he responded to a officer's house. And when he got to the door, a shotgun blast went off. And when he opened the door, he seen where he shot himself in the head. And that shotgun blast, him going into the zone, the smell of shotgun blast, the fear that it was caused, opened his brain back up and brought out those emotions while we were there. So again, this stuff is not to be played with. It is a very controlled environment, and we do things intentionally so that we can help your brain self-repair itself, I think. So the TroysGate syndrome, man, time's a ticking. Let me get through this stuff. That's the activation of the killing brain. Did I send you another video of people being shot from screaming? How many videos did I send you guys? Just those 2?
You only sent the 2, Randy. We have because of our past chit chats, we have a collection, however, of videos that are still in here. We have the one of the certain Christian man who gets pretty excited there about when they come into his store. If you want that one,
do you have the actors? Do you have the actors?
Yes, we have the one of the actors of this one.
All right, let's do the actors. Let's do the actors. The actor side. That way I can explain it. All right, let's do that.
You gonna do it, Russ? Well, here, I'll flip it up there. Let me find it. Where did it go? There it is. Here's the actors coming up right now. I believe this is, well, wait, let me make sure. Got to find where these are at. Are they down at the bottom?
I'm sorry. I've got some, man, I've been playing around with this stuff.
You fucking wrong, man. You motherfucker, Martinez. You're Martinez. Fuck you, son of a bitch. You're a fuck killer. You killed Jesus, motherfucker. Fuck you, you bitch. You fucking killer. Fuck you, motherfucker. Zach! What the fuck did you just do? We've known Zach for years. Why did you shoot him? Why did you shoot Zach? I could have talked your daddy won't even hurt anybody.
Well, you shot first.
You just killed Zach for no fucking reason. I could have talked him down. Why would you do that?
Okay, that wasn't a good one for what I'm trying to explain. So activation of that killing brain, once it triggers and your finger hits the trigger on your gun and you empty your gun, you can't stop it. That's the activation of the killing brain. So even when the person goes down and it's obvious that they're deceased, you will continue shooting until something brings you back into reality. And usually what brings you back into reality, you run out of ammo. So you'd have to think about loading another mag, or somebody touches you or something like that. So because once this thing becomes active, you have no control whatsoever. All right, go to the next one. That's okay. We'll go to the next one. So that TroysGate syndrome that we discovered over all these years is the uncontrollable act of killing. So if you knock a taser, and there's a case in South Carolina where a guy is chasing a black guy, the black guy stops, knocks the taser out of his hand. The officer then is in fear of his life. The TroysGate syndrome occurs. The black guy then turns and runs, and he empties his gun in his back. And then they say, well, they shot him because he was black. Well, no, he didn't shoot him because he was black. They shot him because he activated his killing brain. So, again, I'm working with some attorneys. After the first year, I am presenting to the chiefs of police about some of this stuff. And with the judicial folks, we're working close with them. Now we have something that we can go to court with and cause reasonable doubt to the jury based on all of the behaviors that the body cams are catching, so we can use their tools against them, if that makes sense. And again, it could be activated by actions and words and sounds. So like you talked about, I'm somewhere and bam, I hear a shot, and then I go for my gun. And then I see a threat and I start gunning it down. So we now have proof of this stuff that actually happens in actual combat. Go to the next one. So again, it can only be conditioned by experience. So when you come to us, we try to get the amygdala hijack to occur, and that brain then is experiencing something that's never experienced before from the adrenaline and the actions. And then we take you out, and we let all these chemicals dissolve, and then we take you to another one. And then after a while, the amygdala hijack does not occur, and you're able to logically think through everything you're doing while you're actually taking human life. Fascinating stuff. Next. And again, actions and words can activate. So I have one. I meant to see that video. Maybe next time we talk about it. Just mind me saying, and so my actor says, are you going to heaven or hell? And they're dealing with the police. And the officer says, well, heaven, I hope, or I don't know, whatever it is. And he says, well, wherever you're going, I'm going to send you there. And then he screams, and they shoot him. He has no guns in his hands. He has nothing. He just screams, and they empty their guns on him. So, yes, words and actions can activate it. Click. So, and this is what amazes me. And I've tried to find out who wrote this stuff. what any reasonable and prudent person would do under the same circumstances. Well, if somebody's breaking in on you, try to kill you and your family, I don't think anybody's reasonable and prudent. If somebody's if somebody's nice at the door and they're trying to give you some candy, then that's a reasonable and prudent person. But when it comes to self-survival, there's no reasonable, prudent person. Click. So that person that you shoot in the back has done something to cause the amygdala hijack to happen, which causes the TroysGate syndrome, and that's activating the killing brain, and they cannot help themselves. Next. So again, next. Emotion, jealousy. We're talking about hate. I mean, and this is what the media is doing. They're creating hate, and then they're making us hate people because of the color of their skin, which is nonsense. I mean, it's all baloney, and they're pumping this stuff up because they're trying to get the left side to turn on us. And if they turn on us, then it goes to chaos. It don't make sense. I don't even know why they're doing it. And if they activate it in us, and this stuff starts happening, then it burns like it's scary. It's scary stuff to even talk about of what can happen based on what we're leading up to. And I've seen it coming and coming and coming. I'm thinking, how do we stop this? I don't know. We've just got to get together. If the power shuts down, and that's where the fallout comes into place, guys. Learn how to make it on your own. Learn how to do things to protect you and your family. Get a gun. If you don't like a gun, let your wife get a gun. If she's afraid to get a gun, let your teenage boy get a gun. Because they start coming your way, things are going to turn bad. Okay, that's the last slide. So I rambled on.
Oh man, that's why you're on here, Randy. But I mean, let's delve into that. Let's talk about that, because for years now, and in my personal opinion, I mean, this is my personal opinion. Before I get to my personal opinion, let's talk about TroysGate and what you actually encountered there, because my first couple times going to TroysGate, I encountered a lot of different emotions that I did not expect to have. Number one, we had the scenario we walk in and, there's two men in your house, kind of like what we just saw there with Zach. Swordsman 007 said he got shot for wearing two different camo patterns. That's why he was shot. I'm going to agree with him. I'm going to give Zach some crap for that, for not color coordinating his camo during that scenario. But just watching Zach act too, man, he's a master at his trade. I love to hate him. I love to hate Zach. But when I went in there, never meeting Zach before, going into this scenario, one thing that I found that was good but not good was how hard it was to actually pull the trigger initially. So I went in because your mind in that scenario, you should be able, you're within the law to shoot both those individuals in your living room in the middle of the night. But your mind tells you these are human beings. No matter what type of pieces of garbage they are, your mind tells you this is human life. And there's a struggle going on in my head. I can't hear what's going on. Everything's tunnel visioned out, but I'm struggling to pull the trigger. And trying to talk to them, which, everyone, if you talk to anyone, they say, oh, bump in the night. I go downstairs. I'm shooting them right first thing. I'm just going to, and I was that guy. I was that guy that said, I'll just pull the trigger right then and there. Nope, not the case. But then because of how Zach reacted, his sudden movement to go for a shotgun that he had sitting there, I thought I'd shot twice and I dumped 14 rounds. And there you have it. That is the whole thing of what you were talking about. Not only was there the human part of it, I don't want to take this life. As soon as he made that movement, I just about unloaded my entire mag. I still had a couple rounds. I was proud of myself for that for the first run. But most of the magazine had been spent, and I did not realize it until I got out of the first scenario and checked my magazine. So
there's a word there. There's a word there, T, and it's fear. Remember when you went that slide with all the emotions, anger, All the aggressive emotions, jealousy, anger, rage. There's a part of the brain that has fear. Culturally, even if we're defending our home, and somebody's in my house and everything, culturally, I've got a pistol on him. I got him dead to rights. He's got a bar. I can't even see his hands, but I know he's holding something in his hands. He's already in my house. He's already threatening my life or the life of my loved ones, right? But culturally, I'm already thinking this is going to cost me a bunch of money if I pull the trigger. That fear comes in there. And I know, and over the last 2 decades, how many people have we seen that have defended themselves properly and end up losing their house or go so through so much financial turmoil defending what they were already right to do, right? And I think we all have that. We've been trained that way. Vice versa, that's where I kind of disagree with Randy, because he's exactly right. The media, it's psychological warfare, and it comes from the Marxists and the socialists. It's nothing new. The Nazis did it. The fascists did it in hell. It's gone all the way back. Lenin did it in the revolution in Russia. They create hate. How many of these people, whether they're Free Palestine or these professional agitators with the George Floyd riots and everything, how many of them got on there and actually said anything that was logical? All I saw was hate, rage, and jealousy, right? And when we say jealousy, we're talking about coveting somebody else's stuff, right? I've got a nicer house. I've got a nicer car. So a lot of people just hate me. They think that I didn't earn that, right? The only thing to stop them from actually being aggressive with you is fear on themselves. So Randy's right. If you expose the gun, then fear might stop them, might not. But you have that right to show them that you're willing to defend yourself and create that fear. So hopefully the aggressor goes into fight or flight. Am I right, Randy?
Oh, you're dead on, Sue. I mean, all this, it's complicated, but again, we're just now getting into a lot of this stuff, and we're learning it. And then I had some judicial folks up from a bordering state last week. One of them was working a murder case on a road rage incident, and she told me at the end of the day that she was going to charge this person with second-degree murder, but based on what she learned that day, she wasn't going to make a charge at all because she didn't realize all the human factors that were in play. She was just thinking about who pulled the gun out first, So we're able to convince the judicial folks, because she messed. I mean, we run her through some stuff. These guys, and again, they don't understand it because they've never done it. It's just
how many of us have been threatened by somebody doing road rage? I mean, we're talking about multi-ton or a couple-ton vehicle. People are using that aggressively as a weapon. So if you pull a gun out and say, "Hey, I'm going to defend myself," when somebody's trying to basically run you off the road or brake check you, they're trying to kill you. It's not a gun, but it's a vehicle. It'll kill you just as dead. Matter of fact, more people are killed by vehicles than they are by guns. You need to defend yourself against that too.
Yes. So I better back off because the time's running out, Bob.
Well, no, I mean, I think, you can see how on edge and spun up society is becoming. I mean, that's where we're at. And I think, you nailed it when you talked about, the media and all these higher powers that shouldn't be, these elitists, these people that are running this country that don't care about anything really but control, because that's what it all comes down to. It's not about money. It's not about religion. It's about nothing but control. And they are using all of us as pawns in this Ponzi scheme. They play the races against each other, white against black, Hispanic in it. This whole immigration thing, I think it was to flood the country with terrorists and to cause more racial tensions within the borders of the United States. And they're getting it accomplished because now we see these things people striking out just because of color of skin. Once again, we're seeing it, the girl on the bus, the Ukrainian girl stabbed in the throat. I believe the black guy said something along the lines of, got that white girl or something as he exited the bus, I believe is what they were saying. We even had said, TroysGate, what is your thoughts on how the girl reacted after being assaulted on the train? Do you think it was PTSD from what she fled? I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. Christy, maybe you can reiterate that a little bit more.
No, I think after she was stabbed, I think she was how she reacted after being assaulted. It's that shock of something.
Just shell shocked.
Yeah. I mean, really, when something happens that you don't expect, and then you're bleeding out, you don't know what to do, and then you just bleed out and die. And I've been to several stabbings. One of them, I went to a lady, got her throat cut. I thought she was drunk, and then I seen her laying on the ground. She was trying to talk to me, and then I seen the blood squirting out of her neck. But I mean, again, when things happen to us that we don't expect, we don't know how to respond because we're dying. I mean, there's stuff going on there. So complicated. Yes. It really is.
It is. But no, I think that's where we're at in society, man. I think you nailed it. They want us to they want that powder keg to ignite. That's what they're shooting for. That's why this is just pushed out everywhere, every single media, in your face. Doesn't matter. They want you to see that. They want people to react. They want people to get mad. And then I think that's where, if they ever get it to happen, and I fear that they're going to, that's where you really will see the crackdown on your Second Amendment rights, because that's what they're pushing for. I mean, look at every single other country, UK, Germany, all these places that have just been flooded with violence. They have no firearms.
Well, and I'll agree with you there on most of that. I think the thing that's the revelation that I've had in just the last few weeks. I mean, we've had a Catholic church shot up with kids in it. We've had by a transvestite. Nashville was a transvestite or a woman transitioning to a man, and I know that they didn't put out in public what she did, but she had names on her magazines, and she loaded up those magazines, and she shot those victims so many times the bodies were unrecognizable, right? And now you have a lover of a transvestite shooting Charlie Kirk, and so it's kind of blew my mind that, and it just goes back to what Randy said. They use the LGBTQ community, and they've just been preaching hate, right? And it's in my mind, I don't care what you do in your bedroom. Why are all these people all of a sudden hating people that are normal, heterosexual, or in a marriage? Why, or Christians for that matter? Why do they hate us so bad? Because we haven't really done anything to them or stop them. Matter of fact, we've opened up to our society in the last 20 years to accept them more. So I don't see it slowing down unless we get things like Turning Point USA to just argue with these people and make them reason and say, hey, nobody's stopping you from doing anything, and whatever you do in your bedroom is on you. We don't care. Can you do the job? That's or can you function in society? We don't really care what you do in your bedroom.
So, we're getting older here, and we both experienced some bad stuff. And we don't want to see this stuff happen to our country and the battles that you've been in and some of the things that we've seen. So I think, as we're ending this collectively, all of the normal people, or the not just being a Christian faith, but the people who think logically through things, we're all going to have to work together as a group to slow this down. If we don't, then the US of A is going to end, and we will end it amongst ourselves. We don't have to worry about China bombing us or Russia bombing us. We will implode from within. So again, they need to tone this stuff down. And they need to do more than just love somebody. They need to take an action to stop. If these people burn these cities down, you move in and you lock them up. If you can't, if they're shooting at you, you kill them. That's how this stuff works. And again, if we don't get control of this, then it will flow through this country like a cancer, and then my grandchildren will then have to have guns just to make it through, I think.
No doubt about it. Sue, what do you want to leave us with, man? What do you want to leave everybody here with in this conversation?
And Randy and I have discussed this several times. I don't know if we can actually get this across the goal line or not, but I would, anytime somebody has defended themselves and they find themselves being judged by their peers, I would like to see the jury come to TroysGate and be put in the same situation and say, okay, here's you're judging this person on defending their family or defending themselves. Put all 12 of those jurors through the same situation and see what they do at TroysGate, and say, okay, now go back into the jury room and decide whether that person defending their family was guilty or innocent, of whatever they're charged with. So
you're right.
I wish we could get to that point, but
I think we'll get to that point. I think I've got a case now I'm working on. The jury's probably going to end up shooting through it. So and that way they can understand what's going on. So again, we're working.
Because once you decide to kill, and you've been there, T, once you decide to pull that trigger, there's no stopping it. I don't care how you're trained. Once you start pulling that trigger, there's no all the emotions stop, and you just want to eliminate the threat. And I don't care who you are.
You're right on that. I know we're closing out, but the emotions come afterwards.
Yes.
Right.
The emotions trigger it. And then the event, it's not thinking, it's the medulla doing that lizard brain, doing what it needs to do. And then it comes back, logical brain and thinks, oh no, what have I just done? And the emotions flood out. We better
I'm glad you said that because before we come on here, I said the same thing. But my neighbor Troy sent me Charlie Kirk's video of him being killed within 5 minutes of him being shot. And I watched that video, which was the one I got was the guy who was filming on a cell phone was only 8 meters away from Charlie Kirk. And the first thing I did was, oh my God, my rifle went off. I thought I was back in sniper land and I'd actually shot Charlie Kirk. That's the first thing that went through my brain.
Crazy stuff. It's fascinating.
It's weird. It's weird how it works. It really is.
I've definitely learned a lot. I've definitely learned a lot from TroysGate, and I'm not done learning because this is one of those, not only guys out there listening and those in the future who could listen to this, not only do you need this training, you need to follow up with this training, because just like the stuff on the range where you fall back on your level of training, right? Your mind has to be prepped constantly. You should be doing this at least yearly, maybe a couple times a year. I mean, you need to keep yourself sharp, especially in this day and age of this violence that we're seeing. But what do you have, Randy, to roll out this hour? Because we flew through it. That's what happens when you're talking about interesting stuff like this, man. It goes by quick.
What was the question again, Bob? My brain was off somewhere else.
You're the killing brain. It was somewhere else. You had something else. You just tunnel visioned out.
One more snippet. I just want to remind everybody, this is not a marksmanship course. Not by any means. It's not a marksmanship course. This is about dealing with your emotions in a life and death situation.
And yes, Russ, would you throw up the TroysGate lower third so people can scan that? Look, guys, Fallout 17th, 18th, and 19th. Get out there, train. We got a whole bunch of awesome people that are coming. Scan that QR code right there. It takes you to the TroysGate website. You can sign up. Do that Monday right after TroysGate. And that goes for, I've seen Patrick 7. Patrick, you were saying you hope you could join, do this sometime. Hey, man, do it. It's right there. It's the Monday after. You can go. It's literally 45 minutes away from the campground where we're hosting Mountain Readiness. So, yes, there's plenty of sites. We will have some people over there on Monday. And you could be one of those. But, you know, I mean, leave people with some advice, you know, of where we need to go, because this world is just a chaotic mess, it seems like, anymore.
You know, again, they always talk about this being aware of your surroundings. I think you need to take it a step further. Get a knife. If you don't like a knife, get a butter knife. Sharpen it up, and or get a gun. Just watch around you, and if you get around people that are acting weird and strange, I think my advice to you: your gut instinct. If your gut is telling you something's not right, it's not right. Disengage, walk away. Don't try to start any fights. Don't try to pull out your gun to scare people. Only pull out your gun in case if you're in dire straits of losing your own life, or you're trying to protect someone else's life. Again, don't have your head stuck in the sand, folks. It's real. It's happening around us. So go to Mountain Readiness.
That's it.
And we'll talk to you there. We'll try to help you out the best we can.
It's going to be a good weekend, guys. And in case no one, I mean, there's a few people probably don't know this. The venue was double booked. I told the campground owner not to worry about it. He always takes care of us. But right next to us is a Renaissance festival. So you can get all the training through the day, and then you can go get into the sword fight over the campfire at night. I mean, knock yourself out. It's going to be a blast. But, I don't want to see the fairies. Pretty much. Yes. They're plentiful. They're plentiful everywhere I look. I don't want to sound harsh. But guys, I want you guys to think about this, and I'm not pushing, you know, hey, come to Mountain Readiness. Hey, come to this. Hey, train here. But at the end of the day, how's the best way to put this? Everyone out there listening, I want you to think about something here. Okay. If the bubble popped right now, this screen went blank, everything shut down as we know it. And or maybe it's just civil unrest. Maybe it's a natural disaster, whatever it is that just causes some cataclysmic event. I want everyone to think about this. This is what happened. It just went black. Most of you out there listening right now, or who could potentially listen to this in the future, I'm just going to tell you right now, you probably won't make it. All right. That sounds horrible of me to say that, because I love each and every one of you, but most people will not make it if something catastrophic happens. And the reason I want to say that is that the only way you fix your chances, other than the good Lord above, is by training. All right. That's it. So if I've made you mad, I hope I made you mad. I hope you're mad. I hope you're like, man, T can kiss my ass. How dare him say that I probably will die, I won't make it if something happens. If that's what it takes for you to get up and get off the couch and go get some training, then so be it. Because that's the only way that you can save you and or your family in the events of the stuff that we see out here in this day and age. And it's getting worse. So, guys, appreciate you being here. Go ahead, Sue.
I just want to add to that. Most of us who think we're ready and we will make it, and I got enough food, and I got a generator, and I've got gas, and I've got everything I need in case everything goes dark. Remember, we've already heard this. We've discussed this on other podcasts before. You're going to have your raiders out there. They're going to say, other people are going to come and take what you have. So that's why I want to really point people towards TroysGate, because not only are you going to have to defend your family, but now you're going to have to defend what you have to survive that natural disaster, natural or man-made disaster, because other people are going to want it. They're going to try to take it from you violently.
Absolutely. Hey, preparedness is layers, and it never stops. You nailed it. Just because, I mean, when you start thinking that you've got it all figured out and you're ready, you're not ready. You're not ready. And it's something else to throw into this mix. Self-sufficiency is a word. Self-reliance is a word. These words are thrown out all the time in the preparedness community. And I'm going to tell you, no one in this day and age anymore can be self-reliant. Not in the United States anyways. It's a closed loop. everything about it. You got chickens. You got to be able to process those chickens. You got to be able to get the eggs. You got to be able to hatch the eggs. You got to be able to raise the chicken back up, and you have to be able to feed the chicken. You know, just because you have chickens in the backyard, well, what if TFC doesn't, have Tractor Supply doesn't have feed for you anymore? Do you grow in your own feed to feed those chickens? Self-reliance and preparedness it's not cut and dry. It is layers on top of layers. You are never completely ready. And the time that you think that you are, you might as well hang it up. You ain't ready. So, Sue, appreciate you joining us, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And Randy, you are the man. Looking forward to seeing you this October. And the whole crew. Is the whole crew coming over? A few people asked. So we will have the whole crew.
Zach, and I have Zach out there raising Cain.
Hey, gallon of mead later, you know what kind of craziness could happen out there with Zach. Good night.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you guys heard it. The whole crew's going to be out there. Y'all stay safe, stay ready. We'll see you next Monday, and roll us out of here, Russ, man.